Hey guys, welcome back to the Six Hearts on 6 Acres Kitchen. I'm Bree and I am so glad that you're here with me today. If you're new, so glad to have you as well. Look what I have. This is a big bunch of fresh dill that I just got out of the garden, and we are going to go ahead and make some dill pickles. I have been gathering all of my little cucumbers over the last 2 days, and I've had them in an ice bath for almost 24 hours now, so we are gonna get our pickles made. These pickles are so good. They are crunchy, they're sour, they're delicious, and they're canned, so they're gonna be shelf stable. I'm gonna show you exactly how I make these pickles. They are very easy to do and not time consuming at all. They also have very few ingredients, so they're really quick and easy to make. The first thing I'm gonna do when I start this recipe is to make sure that my jars are super clean. I brought them up from my basement this morning. They've been sitting in some really hot soapy water, and I'm just going to give them a really good scrub inside and out. I have this big bowl of cucumbers. They have been soaking in ice water for about 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and drain them now. Let's talk about real quick before we start how you know what cucumbers you should use to can with. You want to can with pickling varieties. They're gonna give you the crunchiest pickle. So pickles like Munchers or Boston Pickling, Wisconsin 55, these would be great choices for pickling. I also like to use dragon egg cucumbers for pickling. They stay really crunchy and they're just a cool look. I like to use dragon egg cucumbers to pickle with as well. They're really crunchy and they work great in all of the recipes I've tried before. I also really like to grab these little silver slicers. I like these best when they are about this size. Now, the next thing you want to keep in mind is the size of your cucumber. So this is a pretty big guy. He's probably like, I don't know, 8 inches long. This isn't going to be your best choice for pickling, even though it is a pickling cucumber. We will use this in salads, or we're actually going to use this one specifically tonight in sushi. But something that you just eat fresh would be the best choice for these. They still taste good. They're delicious. They're just not quite as crisp as you would like for a pickle. You want to keep your pickles really about this size or smaller. My favorite size is about this size. I am not always the best at finding these on my vines, so sometimes I end up with these bigger ones, and I'm completely okay with that. I haven't made my brine yet, but I'm going to go ahead and start filling my jars because I like to do that first. I really love garlicky pickles, so I'm going to put 3 cloves of garlic straight into my jar. I'm also going to put 1 teaspoon of pickling spice. And then I'm going to grab some of this dill that I just picked, and I'm going to pull off some of the sprigs. Excuse me. I'm going to pull off some of these sprigs that are just the leaves, but I also like to put the flowers in there. They're beautiful and they add really good flavor. So I'm going to pull off 2 flower heads and just stick these in my jar as well. All right, we are ready to add our cucumbers. All right, that jar is completely full, and we're just going to set it aside and fill our other jars. All right, our jars are stuffed. It is time to get the brine going. I like to use equal parts water and vinegar. I'm gonna go with about 3 cups I think that'll be plenty for my 5 jars of pickles. So 3 cups of water and 3 cups of vinegar. To that, I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup, maybe a little bit more of salt, and a teaspoon of sugar just to cut that sourness a tiny bit. So into that vinegar and water, we're gonna add our teaspoon of sugar and 1/4 cup of salt. We're gonna let that water come to a boil, and then once it does, we will fill up these jars. As that's coming to a boil, I'm gonna wash the flats and the rings for these. All right, all of my pieces are clean. While my brine is coming to a boil, my water bath canner is also starting to warm up. Remember that you want to match temperatures, so I'm gonna be putting boiling water in these jars of pickles. So I need this water to be boiling or very close to it as well, to avoid temperature shock, which would crack or break my jars. I was gonna tell you to ignore my kitchen and the mess that's in here, but it looks like it's kind of all behind me and you can't even see it right now. But my kitchen is a constant mess this time of year. I constantly have some type of preserving going or some type of cooking going, and there's just, plus my kids are home all day long and they think they need to eat 15 times a day. So there's absolutely no way that this place is gonna stay spotless or picked up, but I do make sure that my area I'm working in stays very clean because that's really important when you're canning. I'm just gonna give this a good stir because we want that salt and sugar to completely dissolve into this water. All right, you can see my brine is boiling, so it is time to get these jars of pickles filled. As soon as you fill a jar, you want to wipe the top, put on your clean flat, and top it with a ring, just fingertip tight, and that jar is ready to go in the canner. Moving on to the next jar. I underestimated how much brine I'm going to need, so I need to make another batch really quickly. I'm just going to do 2 cups of vinegar and 2 cups of water. All right, we are back in business. This brine is boiling really good, so we are just going to finish up. All right, these jars are all ready for the canner. Okay, my water is boiling. I am gonna put in this piece to make sure that my jars aren't sitting on direct heat. And then transfer my jars into the pot. I let these go for 10 minutes. And when that 10 minutes is up, we will remove them. They will seal. I'm going to let them set for 24 hours before I move them down to my basement, and then they are shelf stable and good to go. All right, there's the timer. Look at these beautiful jars of pickles. They are so pretty, and they're going to be crunchy and delicious. Pickles are one of our favorite snacks. They are healthy. My kids can have as many of them as they want. They don't ruin dinner typically. And they're a great jar to throw in the boat, go to a picnic. Really, really, they're a really versatile, delicious, healthy, crunchy snack, and we eat them frequently in our house. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. As we got this canning done, we are going to be knocking out a lot of preserving over the next few weeks. The garden is really producing tons of produce right now. I'm so thankful for an abundant garden. Next video will probably be out in the garden, and I hope that you join me there. Until then, may God bless you.